Welcome to Complexity Made Simple. My name is Paul Allen, and before we get into today's video, well, I'm just going to remind you the 3 books that are on sale. Drink tea and read the paper. If you're a green belt and a black belt and you want simple instruction on how to apply your skill, design of experiments for 21st century engineers, and finally, a statistical process control for small batch production. They are all available from lulu.com and the links are in the video below. Welcome to the latest video, and in this video newsletter what we're going to do is we're going to go back and look at another one of the lean wastes. I'm going to look at the lean wastes in a piece of software because it's driving me crazy a little bit. Why do software designers do this? Just before we get into this, one thing I'm going to say, can anybody recommend some pens that come off whiteboards? I've been scrubbing this like crazy just for the last 10 minutes. I can't get this thing clean. It says it's a dry wipe. It clearly isn't a dry wipe pen. That's the Expo pen. That's the Lyrico pen. So if somebody can recommend a pen that actually wipes off a whiteboard, that would be fantastic. Now then, the lean waste we are going to look at. We are going to look at motion in particular. Motion in software. Why do software designers do this? So here we go. We're going to go to a piece of software that I use a lot. It's called Minitab, and I'm just going to give you an example of all the motion that they design into this thing. All right, so let's go to the computer and take a look. So here we are. I'm in Minitab. I'm just going to go, just to show you an example, I'm going to go Stat, Quality Tools, and I'm going to go to that one there. Look, Create an Attribute Agreement Analysis Worksheet. This is just a setup wizard in order to set up a data collection sheet effectively. So if I click on that, so look at this. We've got this nice big window here and all this space and unnecessary motion. So I have to start off right at the top, look, with that little drop down menu that says sample standard, attribute unknown. So the first thing I have to do, I have to select from that drop down menu. So that's choice number 1. So here comes the motion. Then normally what you would do, you would select the number of samples, you would select the number of replicates, and you would select the number of appraisers. But look how they've spread the whole thing all over this window. Then what I have to do is come back and I have to name the sample. So there's a window here in which I get to put a name or a character in order to identify the samples that we're working with. And then finally, I have to go over here to the OK button, which is miles away. The whole thing could be done in half the space. Some of the selection windows could be next to one another. Probably you could reduce the whole screen motion in this particular wizard by at least 50%. And it just takes thought on the software designers, from the software designer's point of view. It doesn't cost anything to do this really. Once it's done, it's there forever, but the motion is just designed in to the software. And by the way, I'm not picking on Minitab here. Other software designers do exactly the same thing. Microsoft do exactly the same thing. They make you move from the left hand side of the screen to the right hand side of the screen to click on various yes, no buttons. It's simply crazy. So there's my simple example of motion in software, and it's just one example, but it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere and just unnecessary, and it's cheap to get rid of. really. Every time they do an upgrade, they just have to think about the user interface, bring the user interface and make it nice and small. This is like box sizes when you're out on a production line. You make the boxes smaller and smaller and smaller. What do? You get rid of motion. It's fantastic. Every time they work on the user interface, make the user interface, and they could do a simple test. They could measure the speed of certain activities, and they could just make them faster and easier and faster and easier, and just please the hell out of the customer, instead of giving us technical updates that ruin our software and mean that we have to spend hours and hours trying to get out of the mess that they created in the first place. So, software designers, please do me a favor, get rid of the motion in your software and become more lean.